Hi, I'm Multiplays Guitar. Welcome to another video. Today we are doing an Arctic Monkeys tier list video. I've already done a tier list video before. That was a Queens of the Stone Age tier list, which I had a lot of fun making. And if you haven't seen it, I will leave a link in the description for you to check that out after this video. I had a lot of fun making it, and I thought, why not do another one? And today we're doing Arctic Monkeys, a band that I've known for about 10 years. Obviously listen to all the albums, love every single album. And yeah, I can't wait to do this tier list. Disclaimer as well before we start, this is my opinion. People will disagree, and that is fine. That is fine. And if you do disagree, let me know in the comments what your tier list is. I am actually quite interested to hear what other people have to say with these albums, because some of them divide opinion, some of them are, in my opinion, non-negotiable where they are in the list, because some of them are just better than others, in my opinion, of course. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, starting off the tier list then, we've got Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, the debut album that released in 2006. One of my favourite albums, to be honest, from Arctic Monkeys. It was a great debut album, some great songs on there. One of the most notable songs on there, in my opinion, I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor, is a great tune. I also like When the Sun Goes Down, A Certain Romance, Dancing Shoes. They've all become classics pretty much. If you go into nightclubs that play indie music, there is a chance that quite a few of these songs will come on at, like, in one night. I've certainly experienced that. They're all sort of crowd favorites when they do come on, which probably shows how universally popular this album is. So to give it a rating, and by the way, I haven't done this beforehand. I'm doing this on a whim. I feel like this is better. Like, the more I talk about this, I can decide where they go on a whim. I haven't planned this, unlike my other tier list video, because I feel like more authentic opinions and going with my gut instinct is probably the better way of doing it. So I am going to put it, for now, it might change. I might end up changing my mind. I'm going to put it in A tier. For now, it might go into S tier, because I do have a soft spot in particular for this album over a lot of the others. But for now, it's going in A tier. Okay, so the second album, Favourite Worst Nightmare, the album that came after Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. It's a good second album. It is a bit different. Some songs on there that I particularly like. Do Me a Favour is good. Brian Storm is a great opener. It's full of energy, full of punch, just like the first album. It's quite raw, but it's a bit more refined. Obviously, they've released a second album, so they're growing as musicians. I quite like this album quite a lot. But there are some songs that might miss the mark for me. Not the biggest fan of songs like Only Ones Who Know. And I know, like, in some albums you do have a bit of a lull, like in the middle of an album, like a song that slows the pace down, which I'm generally for in albums. I do like that. It's for pacing. It happened in their debut album. Riot Van was the song in that album that was right sort of in the middle, and it slowed the album down a bit, and then it picks back up at the end. I quite like that in albums. But I feel like that misses the mark, in my opinion. I don't think it's as good as the first album, even though I do like them. I like all these albums, by the way. So if your favourite album ends up being in a lower tier, it's not that I don't like it. It's my order of how I like these albums. I'm for now going to put it in B tier for now. Again, this might change. The further along we get, I might shuffle them around a bit. But for now, it's in B tier. Okay, the next album is Humbug. The first big change in their sound from the first two albums. Went Out Into the Desert, produced by Josh Homme of Queens of the Stone Age. Has a bit more of a stoner rock vibe, in my opinion. The most stoner rock sort of sound and song on that album, in my opinion, is Potion Approaching. I have seen that a lot of people don't like that song, but in my opinion, I quite like it. Because I'm a big fan of Queens of the Stone Age as well. And it gives me more of that vibe. I think it is weird in a good way. Songs like Pretty Visitors, fantastic song, fantastic songwriting, fantastic lyrics in some of these songs. Of a lot of these lyrics are quite, especially with the B-sides too, which obviously I'm not including in this, but for a bit more wider context, a bit more like love songs, but like heartbreak, things like Dance Little Liar. Catapult is a bit, as a B-side, is a bit like that too. A bit more darker, a bit more moodier, which I kind of like. I do quite like moody. And it is a really good album. I really like it. But for putting it in a tier, I don't know. I don't know. There was a point where this was what was my favorite album for quite a long time. I really like this album, but I've not. You know, my opinion changes all the time. If I did this tier list in 6 months' time, they'll be completely different. There's only a few that stay in place, but they're like the really good albums, in my opinion. So I am going to put it. I'm going to put it in B tier, but I'm going to put it above Favorite Worst Nightmare for now. Please don't hate me. I know a lot of people like Favorite Worst Nightmare. In my opinion, I like Humbug just that little bit more, in my opinion. Okay, so Suck It and See, 2011 release after Humbug. Okay, so Suck It and See, the 2011 release. I like this album. Is it B tier or A tier or S tier? No, it's not. I don't think it is. I find when I listen to this album, a lot of Jamie Cook's guitar in particular feels a bit samey, with that sort of broken chord. It's one of the only albums where I feel like their songs on this album are a little bit samey. There are a few standouts. Don't Sit Down, Because I Moved Your Chair is a great song. Not going to take that away from specific songs, but as an album, that's an outlier because it is a good song and it could end up on other albums, in my opinion. I think it would fit well on different albums. But with Suck It and See, it's a bit more of a pop vibe to it, in a sense. And I don't know. I don't connect to this album as much as other people do, or as much as any of these other albums on the tier list. But I still like it. So I'm going to put it in C tier. Okay, AM. This is the universal Arctic Monkeys album, really. It's the one that broke. If they didn't break the mainstream already, which, let's be honest, they did, this put them onto a completely different level, in my opinion. The closest to breaking America that they did, you know, having Do I Want to Know, where, you know, we all know in an Arctic Monkeys fan base or in any other fan base in any band, their most popular song, you'll have people hating them because they're so popular. But I'm still not going to take that away from them. I'm trying to be as objective as I can here. It's popular for a reason. I think all of these songs on this album are fantastic. Every single one of them. Up from Do I Want to Know, Are You Mine is a great tune, and it's also really fun to play on guitar. I've done a cover of that, and if you want to see it, I'll also leave a link in the description for that as well. And yeah, Mad Sounds is another song that I really, really like. I Want to Be Yours. It's very mainstream. When you think of Arctic Monkeys, to the random average person who might not be such a hardcore fan, they will know the songs from AM more than a lot of the others. And songs on the first album, people will know I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor and some things like that, or the songs like that. But AM is, in my opinion, the most popular song for a reason, because it's kept their sort of style. They've changed it a bit, but they've also made it sound mainstream as well, whilst keeping it rock, which I think a lot of rock bands don't really do as often as they should if they want to get mainstream. And, you know, having a song that's got, you know, a couple of billion views, you know, that takes a really good artist to do that. So for that alone, I'm going to put it in S tier, and I know I can almost hear through the screen that people are disagreeing with me, but it's my opinion. It's my opinion. If you have an album that is so popular, then and I personally really, really like that album, I think it does deserve to be an S tier. Okay, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Right. This is personally my favorite album. I think like many other people, it took a while for me to get into this album. This was the first album that I was a fan of Arctic Monkeys before it came out. So I seen all the YouTube ads that they were posting, all the teasers. I was so excited for this album. And when I heard it for the first time, I was a bit like, oh, okay then. It's very different. And I need to listen to it about 8 times all the way through before I like it. And to be honest, I really, really love this album. I think it is genius songwriting, musicality. You hear all the different instruments really well. The mix is really, really good. There's only a few negatives on this album. And I think the first one, before I get to the positives, I'm not a fan of Golden Trunks. I don't like the guitar tone in it. It feels too overpowering, and it's a good riff. I like the riff. I think the mix is wrong, and the way the vocals are sung in falsetto. I don't know. It feels like that was the odd one out on this album. I feel like their B-side, anyways, that got released the November after this album came out. I really like that. I think they should have put that in the album instead of Golden Trunks. But for the rest of this album, you know, they talk about, you know, this hotel resort on the moon, references to George Orwell's 1984, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, things like that I love. I love that sort of thing. Alternate sort of society, and, you know, some of these lyrics are quite good. I really, really like this album. And in my opinion, it is a extremely misunderstood masterpiece, in my opinion. I think it is a exceptional album. And for that, I will put it in S tier as well. And I'm going to put it above AM, but that is just my opinion. Yeah, I'm going to keep it in S tier for now. I might change these around maybe if I end up changing my mind. But for now, I'm happy with this. Okay, last but not least, we have The Car that came out in 2022. Again, this was another album that came out while I was a fan. I've got to admit, I wasn't that excited for this album, really. Not as much as Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, but I'm still excited for another Arctic Monkeys album. It's a band that I've loved for quite a long time now, about 10 years. And yes, Body Paint is a song that, in my opinion, is one of the most best written Arctic Monkeys songs out of all of the albums. It is a fantastic listen. The Better Be a Mirror Ball is another one that I quite like. But some of them, I mean, they've gone in another direction again. It's not the same as Tranquility Base. They have a different style to it. It's almost like it could be like a bit of a Bond theme, if that sort of makes sense. Like, it's sort of like a movie music that you'd have in a film. But I like that. And I do rate it. It's a good album. I still listen to it now. But this is probably one of the hardest. I think this album and Humbug are the hardest ones to put in a tier. So I don't actually know where this should go. It's not D tier. I think it is better than Suck It and See. It's just whether it belongs in the same tier as Favourite Worst Nightmare, which, to be honest, I don't think it does. So I think it will belong in C tier, but above Suck It and See, I think. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with this. I like this. So that has been the tier list video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these tier list videos. If you like this video, I will know to make another one. Let me know in the comments what bands you want to see me do a tier list video on. I do quite enjoy making these. I love looking into bands and hearing different bands. I want to hear new bands. New bands I've never heard before. So put them in the comments and I will make a video out of it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.